You ever have one of those weeks where even your coffee needs coffee? Like, you wake up exhausted, push through the day running on fumes, and by the time you actually sit down to relax, your brain's like, wait, have we ruined our life yet? Yup, that's burnout. And if you're anything like me, you probably tell yourself, nah, I'm fine, just a little tired. But then suddenly, you're snapping at your loved ones, questioning every decision you've ever made, and contemplating if maybe, just maybe, moving to a remote cabin in the woods to live off the land isn't such a bad idea. I see you, I feel you, and I'm right there with you. Although a remote cabin in the woods is the end goal for myself, just not yet. I have some more life and more experiences to have before I become that hermit in the woods and live out my days in nature, perfecting my bird calls. But first, hi, welcome to the Wolverine Lifestyle Podcast, where personal growth meets deep thought and introspection. I am your host, Dillon Andres, and in this episode, we are exploring my personal journey through the journal prompts. Dealing with burnout. What does burnout feel like to you? What changes do you need to make to nurture yourself? If you've ever felt like your brain is running on 2% battery, but the charger is missing, this episode is for you. The reality of burnout is that it isn't just exhaustion. If it were, a good night's sleep would fix it. Burnout is that bone deep depletion that makes everything feel harder. I'm talking about the kind of fatigue where even small tasks feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill, barefoot, while carrying emotional baggage you didn't even know you had. For me, burnout feels like nothing is going right. The harder I push, the further away success, peace, and even basic human connection feels. It's like life put me on hard mode and forgot to give me the tutorial. And that's just the mental side of it. Physically, burnout is a train wreck. Brain fog so thick you forget why you walked into a room. Analysis paralysis. Spending an hour deciding between 2 salad dressings or what to watch for your at-home Netflix date night. And feeling like you could fall asleep in a grocery store aisle and still somehow wake up tired. And that's not even getting to the things like heartburn, the tension headaches, or the sore, swollen, Rice Krispie sounding joints, and the lovely existential crisis that comes free with every episode of burnout. But the hardest part, in my opinion, is the emotional toll. When I'm burnt out, my emotional intelligence takes a hard nosedive. I start second-guessing people's intentions. I overanalyze what was said. I overanalyze what I said or how I showed up. I quite literally watch myself slip back into old limiting beliefs, the same ones I thought I had outgrown, and feel as if I have zero control over it. I know I'm not alone in this. How often do you start questioning your worth when you are exhausted? How often do you find yourself doubting the very things you were once absolutely certain of just because your brain is running on fumes and it's creating this thick peanut butter fog? That's burnout. And yet, so many of us wear it like a badge of honor. I know I used to. We live in a world that glorifies exhaustion. Grind culture tells us sleep is for the weak. You have the same 24 hours as Beyonce or Musk or whomever resonates with you. If you're not hustling 24/7, do you even want success? But let's be real here. This mindset is a one-way ticket to Burnout City. The truth, More hours spent working does not equal more success. In fact, studies have shown that working beyond 50 hours a week drastically reduces our productivity. Our brain actually starts rebelling against us. 30 hours per week is the actual optimal amount of output. And I mean, if Microsoft Corp in Japan is doing it and has seen drastic improvements in productivity, I feel like that topic is worth a little bit of a deeper discussion. It's like your body's saying, oh, you want to ignore my need for rest? Cool. Enjoy this random crying spell in the middle of a work meeting. And yet, we keep pushing through this. Why? Because deep down, many of us tie our self-worth to how much we do. We believe, if I just work harder, I'll finally feel successful. If I just say yes to more things, I'll finally be enough. If I just push a little more, I'll be worthy. But that's the burnout trap. It keeps us chasing a finish line that keeps moving further and further away from us. And the scariest part, by the time we realize we're burnt out, we've often already done the damage to our health, to our relationships, and to our own self-confidence. So what do we do? What do we do with this knowledge? We make a shift, a pivot, if you will. The biggest shift I had to make was prioritizing rest, my play, and actual self-care. Not as an extra productivity to-do list or just something to add to cross off to my to-do list, but an actual self-reflection of how am I feeling today and what do I actually want to do? This is something that is felt into. It's not a mental problem to solve. For the longest time, I would sacrifice sleep in exchange for more awake time. But guess what? More hours awake didn't mean more productivity. It meant I was awake, but mentally still asleep. So I had to learn to give myself permission to rest and to play and to feel okay about it. And I don't mean play where it's in a scheduled 30-minute time block for recreational activity. I don't mean that kind of way. I mean actual fun things that light you up with zero pressure to be productive. Those 30-minute time blocks for play are important and useful, yes. However, we still have to be mindful about our ego disguising this blocked out playtime as just another thing to put on our to-do list to check off at the end of the day. Our ego can be tricky. So for me, this looks something along the lines of playing guitar, going bowling, axe throwing, getting lost in a coloring book, building something out of wood, even if I haven't done these things recently. But you know, the stuff that reminds me, it puts me into that mind state to just be. Even video games. Because yes, sometimes we just need to turn our brain off and enjoy. And maybe, most importantly, letting go of FOMO. I used to say yes to everything. Every invite, every opportunity, every, hey, can you help me with this? But I've learned that every time I say yes to something that drains me, I'm saying no to something that could actually restore me. Every time I say yes to doing something for someone else that I don't inherently want to do, I'm saying no to me and the things that I genuinely want to do. Now, please do not misconstrue this and think that I'm saying to not help others. Absolutely help others. I'm all about that. What I'm shedding some light on here is to use discernment around this to ensure you genuinely want to help and are doing it from a place of love, not fear. So what this means is not simply showing up because there's this hidden belief that you should be helping, or if it's on the foundation of being the nice guy or girl and having a hidden subconscious expectation that this person you're helping is going to owe you for something in the future. And if you found that last part just slightly triggering, well, I hate to say it, but if the shoe fits, we must call a spade a spade. So I want you to ask yourself, where do you need to set better boundaries? What's one just for fun thing that you haven't made time for recently? And what would it look like to actually prioritize your well-being? Because burnout isn't something you power through. It's something that you must heal from. This is what I want you to take away from this. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a warning sign, contrary to what we see in social media or whomever it is that we look up to. Rest isn't a reward. It's a requirement. Play isn't a waste of time. It's the antidote to burnout. So your challenge, please do one thing this week that nurtures you. That might be saying no to something that drains you. It might be prioritizing sleep. It might be doing something for fun, for no other reason than simply because you enjoy it. Because you deserve it. Period. As always, thank you for joining me for this episode of the Wolverine Lifestyle Podcast. If it resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need it. It's the best way to get this message out there. And if you're ready to take a step further into your own self-exploration journey, grab my free ebook, 30 Days to Know Yourself. The link will be in the show notes along with all of the other links to the rest of my socials and resources. Until next time, remember, take care of yourself before you take care of business. Because if you don't, you will be forced to take care of yourself and not be able to take care of your business.